Today, I'm going to set out to answer a question that I've been asked a few times over the last few months, and that is a rental property always worth more to you as a cash flow generating rental, or can it sometimes be worth more to you as cash invested in the market? Let's get into it. Let me start by introducing Phil and Claire Dunphy. They both just turned 60. They're looking to retire right now. They're done with work. They each have $125,000 invested moderately in RRSPs. They each have $125,000 invested moderately in TFSAs. And they have a joint non-registered account worth $250,000. So in total, they have $750,000 of investments, but the question that they came to me with was about their rental. So let's look at the specifics of the rental here. It's worth $450,000 today. They bought it a number of years ago for $250,000. I think I forgot to mention they're here in cold as Mars right now, Manitoba. So that's why these values are, for some of you in Ontario, will seem comically low. But that's what it is as of right now. The rent on this property is $1,500 a month. Their mortgage is $1,100 a month. So they are cash flow positive, which is great. But is it worth more to them to be cash flow positive $400 per month? Or is it worth more to simply invest that money and use it to cash flow their future? That's the question I want to address. So let's look at it here. This is their base scenario. Phil and Claire like to spend about $6,000 per month in their day-to-day expenses in retirement, and they're aiming to be traveling for about $15,000 per year. Now, I've probably said this enough times on the channel, but in retirement, I do believe that travel is much more cost effective, especially if you're doing kind of the snowbird thing and going for an extended time period, because you're just essentially living abroad. You're not traveling as intensely as maybe you did back when you had younger kids like I do right now. When we're traveling, it's very intense, cramming activities in, lots of restaurants, things like that. Whereas when you're in the retirement time, you're essentially just living somewhere. If that's your scene, some people don't like to do the snowbird thing, but if so, it's a lot more cost effective. Anyways, they want to spend $6,000 per month. They want to spend $15,000 per year on travel. And in this case, they have that rental income of $18,000 per year all the way through. And if we slide over to the side here, they have another, 9 years of mortgage payments remaining. So what I want to do is I want to slide down and see if there's any years highlighted in red or when they start to happen. As a reminder, a year highlighted in red is when we run into a liquidity event. So either Claire and Phil are out of money, like they're fully broke, or they've just run out of liquid money and they have to start selling properties or leaning on them in some way. And this starts at age 74. This is a big problem. This is way too soon. If this was the financial plan that they were going into retirement with, my level of confidence would be very, very low. But let's isolate the rental conversation first. Before I jump into the specifics of their rental, I just want to go over something that I kind of jokingly refer to as Chad's ratio. Chad's ratio says that for every $1,000 that you want per month in retirement, you need about $200,000 to $250,000 invested at time of retirement. And I want to show an example of this. I found a financial calculator online that can kind of help illustrate this on the withdrawals side. So if we use $200,000, about a 4% annual return, because again, we're in retirement now, so I don't want to be too aggressive in my expected return. If we assume about a 30-year retirement, so retiring around 60, living to 90, and we do $1,000 monthly withdrawal, if we go down here to the calculator, they run out of money after 28 years. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying $200,000 equates to about $1,000 per month. You add an extra couple thousand, maybe make it 220,000, and then this will be working out just fine. But that's what I'm kind of using as a comparison tool. So going back to the specifics of their rental property, it's worth $450. They bought it for $250. They owe $100,000 on it, and it's only cash flowing about $5,000. So let's take a look at what this would actually work out to in terms of cash in hand, because that's the comparison. So if they sold for $450, they bought for $250, that means they have a $200,000 capital gain. Only half of that $200,000 capital gain is taxable capital gain, and it's beneath the thresholds of the new percentages, so don't need to worry about that. So we have a $100,000 taxable capital gain. For rough calculations, I always assume half of that's going to go to taxation. It won't be half, it won't be quite that high, it'll be high 30s or low 40s, depending on a number of different things, but I always calculate on half. So we have a $50,000 tax bill. So they sell for $450, they pay $50 to taxes, they pay the mortgage out for $100,000, meaning they are investing $300,000 into their investments. And if $200,000 is going to give them $1,000 per month, $300,000 should logically bring them about $1,500 per month in retirement, or about $1,100 more positive cash flow to their pockets than the rental property is at this time. And again, I'm a fan of rental properties. I'm not saying your rental property doesn't make sense like this, but theirs doesn't. It makes more sense to be sold. So let's isolate just that change. Here in this scenario, literally the only thing I've changed is I sold off the rental. So you can see the rent income, which is titled total other income, stops at the end of this year. The property is sold off, so their real estate value goes down by $450,000 on January 1 of next year because we sold that one for $450,000. There was $91,000 remaining on the mortgage, so that's dealt with. You can see that each of them piled their 2025 and 2026 room into TFSAs, and then a big chunk got put into the non-registered as well. And if we go back here then and scroll down looking for those red years, oh, look at that. We've pushed it pretty considerably. We've added 10 years of non-liquidity issue years to Phil and Claire's financial plan simply by selling that property. We're exchanging the equity that they have in their home and the cash flow that they're having from the rental for a better equity position, better, stronger cash flow position. And again, I'm not investing in any crazy way. It's still just invested moderately, but their cash flow is a lot more solid in their particular case. Now I can go work on the plan in terms of CPP timing, things like that, see maybe an RSP meltdown works, whatever it is for them to maximize what we can do. So let's look at a few other steps that I could take to make this work even better for them. If you've watched the channel for any amount of time, you know what the first step is that I'm going to go to, and that's CPP. I think CPP is incredibly important, and for me, everything related to your retirement plan relates back to cash flow. I think cash flow is king. I want to make sure you have a really solid cash flow in retirement. So in the baseline projection there, they were receiving CPP at 60. Here, the only change, besides from selling the rental, is I've pushed CPP to 65. Now I've pushed the shortfalls another 5 years to 89. I'm getting really, really close to this working really, really well for Phil and Claire. So what if I push it to 70? That's what this one is. And if we scroll down, I'm not going to dwell in the details too much. Here we are, there's no shortfalls. We've already got there. We sold the rental property, we delay CPP. That's all it took to go from shortfalls at 74 to no shortfalls whatsoever. Let's look at the goal achievement. We've gone from the baseline projection of 76% goal achievement all the way to 103% goal achievement. That's a huge shift, big win. Let's look at where some of the other changes are. Well, because of the changes that I've encouraged them to implement, I've actually raised the amount of taxes that they're going to pay to the government by $51,000. I hate paying taxes, and I certainly hate increasing your taxes, but let's go down 2 more cells. Lifetime government benefits. This is again assuming they live to 90. Well, we've increased that by nearly $700,000. So yeah, Phil, Claire, yes, I'm encouraging you to spend $50,000 more on taxation, but you're getting $700,000 more government benefits. It's a good trade. in my books. If we go down, the eventual after-tax estate has shifted from a negative figure to a positive one. Right away, forgetting the numbers, that's a huge advantage. But we've gone from negative nearly 200,000 to positive nearly 600,000. It's almost an $800,000 shift. And again, if this was you, we might go further into, well, what about this or what about that? Or maybe we look at OAS delay, stuff like that. I don't want to go into every possible iteration of it in these videos. I wanted to make it isolated and make just a few quick decisions and show kind of the power of all these things. And to me, this is a great opportunity for them to shift where their cash flow is coming from to be a little bit more secure. And I think it's an awesome opportunity for someone just like this. So if it's time for me to look at your financial plan, there'll be a link in the description down below. It comes directly to me. Until next time, keep planning.